If the snowblower doesn't want to start or starts and runs poorly, it is just oscillating or it's just making smoke, first try to, if it starts, try to move this choke and see if there's a position where it's running better. If it doesn't start, of course, first check it's on the run mode. You have the key, gas is on. Also check the gas level in tank, because there may still be gas in there even though it looks empty. You may want to grab pliers, just grab it carefully like this, lift it gently, and you can look inside. But if it still doesn't work, it doesn't start, you may have a clogged carburetor. That's what the video will show you what to do. I will open the carburetor on this Ariens snowblower or snow thrower. Reason is the carburetor got clogged. I'm in summertime right now, and basically these things got clogged if you let them out of fuel for the summertime, or if you let them with the regular fuel in there, they will clog. Mine was new, and the first year when I stored it for the summertime, it clogged and it wouldn't start afterwards. Or you may happen also to start the run very poorly. So my very kind suggestion is leave some fuel in there, use only the fuel without ethanol. I think Shell, the premium Shell, has no ethanol in it. And also use a fuel stabilizer, but not anyone. I would recommend Sta-Bil. I will put a link in the video description. So do this for the summer storage. Also try to run it every month during the summertime for about 10 seconds, just to make sure the fuel doesn't stay too much in the carburetor. So that's the video about the model I have here is this one. Make sure we are going to drain the fuel that's in there, and also make sure you get some good gloves, because you are going to have fuel on your hands. I use this brand, which is really nice. Many other cheap ones will just rip apart, and you will have oil on your hand. You notice how I put this plastic bin to recover the fuel, because we are going to open a valve and it's going to leak for a long time. If you don't put it on something, if you just try to keep it with your hand, you are going to find it very long, and you are going to just give up and maybe spill fuel on the floor. Let's start by disconnecting, by removing this cover. It has 1, 2, 3, 4 10mm bolts, either ratchet or a wrench for it. When you put them back, don't over tighten, just make sure they are just snug in there. Lift the cover. And then we are going to remove this side cover. This is the choke. Lift it, put some, pull some with some force on it. Then we are going to remove 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts. If I find some more, I'll tell you. Gently lift the cover. You notice it's still attached with 2 electrical connectors and 1 fuel line. Do not disconnect yet the fuel line, because we haven't drained the fuel as yet. Just toss it on the side slightly, gently. And we are going to drain the fuel here. The thing is, it has there's 2 bolts on this. The first one, it's the securing bolt, which keeps the reservoir in place. The other one is the drain bolt. Problem is, this may be tight, and when you turn it to remove it, the whole reservoir will move. So this is what I did to keep it from rotating, because you don't want to remove the reservoir when it's still full with gasoline. You are going to spill a lot of gasoline on the floor. So I just inserted the screwdriver between the middle bolt and the small drain extension, and the other and I keep a ratchet on the drain bolt, and this way I just prevent it from rotating and undo the drain bolt, the lower one. Watch out when you drain it, as it may spill on the cover and may leak a side of your bin. So and also I think from what I remember, if you have more gasoline in the reservoir, this will take a while. It may take 10, 15, 20 minutes to drain. Mind you, my garage door is open now. Do not do this inside the garage with the door closed, because the gasoline is evaporating very much, so it's dangerous. When you are confident the gasoline has fully drained, just place back the small screw or bolt and just secure it properly. Tighten it, but don't over tighten. Just get a wrench and give it a kick like this. Don't forget to store the gasoline properly. It's really volatile, it's not like gasoline. I put mine back in the canister, so don't keep it on the side, because it's gonna smell. It's very gonna give you a headache. It's not very healthy either. And if you don't have gloves, make sure you clean your hands, wash your hands properly. Don't leave the gasoline on your skin. And now I need to clear this area from the cover. So once this is disconnected, I'm just going to behind here I do have a small retaining clip for the wire, so I'm just going to insert the screwdriver, a flat one, just on the side of the clip, and just pry it upwards, and normally it should come out. I don't think it's a problem if you break this clip, but I just need to toss the cover a little bit on the side. You may also try to disconnect the wires, but make sure you mark them, and also they are kind of tricky, because you need to you just cannot pull on them. You need to depress somewhere to remove the connectors here, so it's a bit tricky. That's why I just try to toss that securing clip instead. In order to further move away the cover, I'm going to detach this ground. Don't forget to put it back in place when you finish the job. With the securing clip and the ground and the small hose disconnected, notice I didn't unplug those connectors, but the cover is really right far away, so I need to work on this area and also undo this reservoir, which is going to be next. Again, the reservoir securing bolt is the one in the center. If it turns, use the same trick with the screwdriver to lock it from turning. When the reservoir is removed, there will still be some gasoline in it. You are going to spill some, so place something underneath. Watch your hands. The idea is not to spill gasoline around here, because it is going to keep smelling strongly and you are going to be uncomfortable doing this job. I think it's a really important point, so watch out for this. For the next step, we are going to insert the flat screwdriver there, but this important part, you notice this is a regular screwdriver and this is the one I'm going to use. So this one doesn't fit in there. You need to have a really thin one, not large, and thin blade here. This is what's going there, because we are going to undo a small screw and only this one will fit in there. So we need to go from underneath. If I can, I'm sure the camera will see it, but it looks like this underneath. And basically what you need to do is just press it a little bit upwards and feel until it catches the groove on that screw thing. This screw, which we are going to undo now, it's the one that gets clogged and needs to be cleaned. Watch out not to drop it on the floor. You notice the screwdriver is getting lower, so the screw is coming out. So open it like this to have access inside, to see inside, and you are seeing there there's like it may show like a hole in there, right there at the tip of my finger. It may show like a hole. That's the screw. It has dropped a little bit, but not fully. If you look before undoing that screw, you will see it's coming out from there. So now it's just dropped a little bit in there. So I'm going to use whatever you want, paper clip, just bend it somehow to access that small hole, or I'm going to use just a small Allen key. Let me see if I can have the light on this. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the key into just above that small hole and press downwards. With the hole again, it's in right there. It's a tiny hole right there. You see that hole? I'm going to push downwards inside the hole and keep my hand underneath to catch the screw. I'm not going to film this, but or maybe I'm going to film it. Hopefully I'm not going to drop the screw on the floor and not find it. Let me just press something. I don't have light, but hey. So again, try tapping with something like this out above. Tap a little bit. Sometimes it may get stuck in there, so make sure you undo it, you unscrew it fully. Just turn more times, and you should either drop it or kick like this. Okay, it's coming out. Watch out not to lose them. There's still that valve that sits in there, this one. So hopefully the camera will zoom in. So this guy sits with the groove underneath like that, and then above it, this is the valve that gets clogged also. This one sits into this position like this, so the more larger hole sits above. And also we need to clean this guy, and we need to clean this one too. Also has a small hole in there. Again, when cleaning these parts, watch out, there are many holes in there. Maybe use a flashlight to see from the other side if the hole is clean, if you see the light through it. There's also a small hole right here at the bottom. Look inside, use maybe something thin, just a small thing that gets into there. I would rather use carburetor cleaner also to spray into it and make sure it's really clean before inserting back. The way it goes back again, it's like this. Let me see, yes, hold on. It goes like that, and that's where you put your screwdriver at the bottom. This goes to the top. Don't over tighten this, just give it a snug and it should stay securely in there. Don't overdo things. When you tighten the cover back in place, it has a seal here, so there's no need to over force on it. Just give it a good snug, feel snug, and that's it. When placing the cover back in place, check you put the fuel line here back in place, secure it with the clip at the same position. You may just press on the clip to tighten it a little bit more. See how it goes. So it goes near the top here. Don't forget the ground. Put everything back in place. I did reuse the clip, put it back in place. I don't think it's a problem if you broke it. Just let this wire hang in there. When placing the cover back, it's a little bit fiddly, so you need to see the holes here for the bolts. This one overlaps the other section, so comes above, on top. You see the holes, and it goes underneath the reservoir here. The small section goes right underneath there. Tighten these bolts just snug, no need to overkill them. Don't forget to check all small bolts on the reservoir are tight, the fill line is tight, refill with gasoline. And by the way, one trick to refill with gasoline, because we seem to always spill some gasoline. I don't use the yellow nozzle. I just actually just put 1 liter, not more than 2 liters in there, and just flip it like this slowly, and then it starts pouring. So this way I really don't spill around. So just don't overfill the canister. And I'm not using the yellow thing. So just refill mine. The way I do is I get my chuck into this position all times. Like I said, start up, running. I don't touch it. Just leave it like this. If you look at it, if you can turn it, it seems like it has 4 positions. This one, let me see, and this one, that's 1, 2. It looks like it's 3 or 4 clicks. I don't know. It's more like a small click here, then a second one, then a third one. That's my position where I leave it, and then there's a 4th one. So basically, I'm just leaving it here. So 1, 2, 3 clicks, not the 4th one, the 3rd one. And when I do, so make sure you have the switch to run, the K in there. Basically, I just keep this depressed and release it suddenly, and you should hear like a small hiss in there, just once. You should hear like a small hissing in there. It's like it's sucking a little bit of gasoline. That's it. No more than that. Not 2, 3 times, 4 times. It will just spill gasoline over the floor. So you should be starting it easily this way. One more time, one more thing. This should be really easy to pull. Actually, you should not force or pull strongly in it. Just give it a small pull and it should start right away. The correct operating position of the chuck may be different on different machines, on different engines. So just maybe run it and then turn it and see at which position the engine is running properly, without hesitation, without smoke, and leave it there, I would say, for all times. Tools needed for this is a flat screwdriver, but a small one, not a large one. It has to fit inside a hole that it's pretty small. Then a 10 millimeter wrench, and a small Allen key, just like that. You notice how small the screwdriver is compared to my finger. Then you'll need nitrile gloves, some paper towel, a gas canister, and I think that's pretty much it. So in order to get access to the carburetor screw and to clean it, you first, if you happen to have already gas, just release the cover, put it on the side like this, make sure the gas valve is open so the gas can flow. Then we need to empty the carburetor in the gas tank. I will drain the gas from the carburetor. I'm using a bottle like this for gas. You may want to be in a outdoor area so you don't accumulate gas vapors. And now we're looking under the motor, and you can see that's the bottom. There's a small place, and the screw that gets clogged, it's inside that. But for now we just want to empty the gas. So you see there are 2 screws, one there and one there. The center screw, it's keeping this piece in place, so you don't want to touch this thing. Instead, we're gonna use the side screw, and it's 10 millimeters, so you just
use something that you have in hand to undo it, and so make sure you can catch all the gasoline. So I'm not going to complete this, but you may want to use, probably, here you go. So that's the gasoline flowing. Be patient. As you can see, the flow is very weak now, but the gas, it's pretty much full with gasoline at this point. So you may want to leave it for about, if I remember well, perhaps 30 minutes or so, until all the gasoline drains. When the gas tank is empty, you may want to place back the little screw. Tighten securely, not too strong, but securely. Now we are going to remove the little reservoir here, this piece. So we are going to remove the center bolt. Sorry, the center bolt, this one. Careful, the gasoline may still spill a little bit, so you may want to catch it or put a rug, something underneath. I'm not using gloves, and that's not the best idea. So it's the center bolt that keeps this thing in place. Note when you put any of those two 10mm bolts back in place, do not over tighten. You just need there is a seal, so you just need to have that seal close enough so the gasoline won't leak, but you just don't need to over tighten. Just give it a twist, and when it stops, just give it a little more kick so it's tight. Next step, we are going to remove this black plate. You need to remove this button, the choke. You need to remove the key. Probably not the key, you can leave it there. And then you have one bolt there, 10mm, another one, another two there, 10mm both, and there's another 10mm there and 10mm there. If you want to make it easier, you may remove those two bolts, 10mm too, and lift this cover. It's easier to remove the blank cover from under the top one. So now I'm just forcing a little bit on the top one, free the lower cover, and just slide it off this choke switch. Make sure there are kind of pins on the side. You may want to unclip the thin tube. There might be gasoline leaking, so make sure when you place back the small tube, rubber tube, you just securely put the clip back on, right? Just like that, so you can clear the cover. Next, we are going to look to the carburetor assembly. This is where the center screw for the cover was, and inside this hole, you cannot see it, but there is another screw, and it takes a flat screwdriver, and you notice that the tip is thin. it has to be thin and not too wide so as to get inside that groove. And the tip again has to be thin. It's not exactly very easy to get into the screws groove, but you just may want to twist your screwdriver and press it upwards. May want to try with both hands until it kicks in place. Just like that. Then you want to unscrew that. Make sure you unscrew the screw, right? Don't tighten it. So when you finish to unscrew this screw there, you just completely unscrew it, but it won't fall from there. Most probably it won't fall. Just leave it there. Go on the other side here, toast the black cover, grab the Allen key, and if you look inside, I'm sure the camera will show it, there is a small hole. I'll show you with a screwdriver probably. There is a small hole past this valve at the bottom there. It's not too deep inside, but it's right there, and I want to press down with the Allen key. Grab and put the key inside the hole. And you hear it? I just got the key inside the hole. You may see it by yourself, the camera angle is not the best. So this is actually what fell from there. The lower here, it's the screw that you just unscrew from underneath. See the groove, it's there. It has like a small groove. And this is the, I'm not sure about the right term, but it's like a spray nozzle, a screw with several tiny holes. You want to look inside and blow air through it, through each of those two. Make sure all small holes and all inside there's a passage inside, but plus those small holes, and this one only has a passage inside. So all these need to be completely clear, and when you place it back, it goes just this way. You place it from underneath. Place this one first and then screw that guy back in place. No need to over tighten it. So that's it. Put back in place everything and it should be fine to go. So keep in mind, you want to run your snow blower, thrower probably every month during summertime. That's the best way I found to keep those two guys clean and free of any sedimentation deposits inside. You may want to pass something thin inside. As you can see, there's a lot of kind of corrosion there, and when you pull that out, you see how much stuff is on this guy. That's all from inside the screw, and there's some more. So make sure you properly really clean this everything in and out, rub it inside or something, because that's the real problem in there. An issue I have with this snowblower is that the engine, it's working, but it's oscillating, so the idling, it's not stable. It has a adjusting screw to the carburetor, but it's not exactly easy to see. So you may want just to remove the cover again, the black cover, toss it on the side, and this small heat shield has two small screws there, 10 or 9 millimeter, I think it's 10. Toss it on the side. And now look on this place. Just get the lamp properly. You may see like a you see the screw is right there. It's a Phillips screw. It's really not easy to access, but it's doable. It has like a red plastic piece underneath, but mainly I just actually had a screwdriver on it. It's a plastic screw, so be careful, don't damage it. And so I just screw it clockwise, and at one point the engine stopped fluctuating like that.